personally were carrying. And we'll get to that in a minute. All right. Now, this technology is not science fiction. It is happening right now. Already, companies are heavily invested in this. There are a number of companies that have already done trials in real stores, in real Walmart and Target stores in the United States, in Home Depot stores as well. Also in a chain in England called Tesco, and in a chain in Germany called Metro. We have reason to suspect that a number of other retailers have been participating in these trials. But shoppers in those stores have actually picked up items with these tags and purchased them and taken them home with them without knowing about it. One example, and I think this is one of the ones that if anybody's a mom in here, they've actually hidden these devices in Huggies baby wipes, of all things. Other products that have been shipped with these tiny tags on a trial basis include Gillette razor blades, which we'll be talking about in some level of detail, Pantene shampoo, Caress soap, Coca-Cola 2-liter bottles, Right Guard aerosol deodorant, and a number of other things. So things you may actually be purchasing. Now, there's a pretty good chance that this has not yet happened here in South Bend, Indiana. We don't know the locations because the companies doing these trials have been extremely secretive about them. We have obtained, however, some internal documents, and we do know some of the locations where these trials have taken place. But we certainly by no means know everything that's happening with this technology. In fact, one of the demos of this, and I believe this comes from Checkpoint, is actually a man's suit, where underneath that lovely little silk label on the inside lapel has actually been embedded what's called an EAS chip, or an EAS tag, I'm sorry. And what you see there, if you take a look at the image, you'll see a little square that looks like a frame. If you could see that up close, what you would see would be an antenna actually running around and around. It's a flat bit of coil, of coiled wire. And there are two versions of these items, these EAS, electronic article surveillance tags. And you may already have seen one of these. Sometimes they're on the back of the price tag in certain items. Sometimes they're in the pocket of pants that you might buy. If you see one of those, one of the problems that we have is that there are two versions of this technology. Right now there's an EAS tag that has an on-off state, and that's your more standard theft prevention device, where when you buy something, they have to put it against the scanner, demagnetize it, or turn it off, deactivate it before you go out the door. And every once in a while they don't do it right, and you set off the beeper, and then they go in, you got to go through and show them the receipt. Okay, that technology, that electronic article surveillance technology, has been around for a while. Much of that is produced by a company called Checkpoint, and Checkpoint also creates the reader devices in the doorway that you have to walk through when you go in and out of the mall or when you go in and out of stores. Checkpoint is heavily invested in converting their standard EAS tags into these type of RFID tags that would contain individual, unique identifying numbers. So if you bought a suit, for example, and you knew it had a Checkpoint device in it, it would be virtually impossible at this stage to know which type of device you had. And it's entirely possible that the suit you bought with a Checkpoint device in it had a unique identifying number that could be linked up with you, could be picked up at a distance after you leave the store, in fact, for the entire life of the suit. These items, these tags, when put into clothing, you would think, oh, well, a couple trips through the wash should take care of that. They actually are not deactivated by being washed. They are one of the standard applications for these RFID tags, these unique item tracking tags, is to put them into uniforms that are washed at very high commercial temperatures and dried in commercial dryers. So it does not kill them to go through the washer and dryer. They can handle 10 years of that kind of abuse and not be killed. The problem, as we mentioned earlier, is RFID enables something called silent commerce. And it's one of the stated goals of, I would almost be tempted to say, global business, to have a system of silent commerce whereby everything in the supply chain. Now, the supply chain means everything from the manufacturer who gets the raw materials in the factory and makes the goods to that then gets shipped to a place where maybe it gets packaged, that gets shipped to a warehouse where it sits for a while and gets distributed out to the individual stores, all the way to the cash register and into your home. So the supply chain means actually supplying goods at various levels to various people until finally it winds up with us. So the goal of the supply chain on the side of global business is to know where everything is at all times. So they hate the idea that, they may produce something in Singapore and then transfer it over to China and then transfer it over to Topeka, and then it gets distributed, and they may lose track of those items. Now that we're in an era where things get shipped all over the world, that's a real problem for businesses, and this is one of their proposed solutions. So there's a couple of things driving this technology. I think right now the goal, obviously some people have the goal of using it to track individuals, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but I think the driving force behind it right now in terms of money is the desire to track products so that things don't get lost, so that when a truck drives into a warehouse, for example, the total inventory of everything on the truck can be made. One example is the Department of Defense was using this because they want to know, let's say they've got a big truck full of stuff and they unload it into a tent, and now they need to find a fan belt for a Jeep, and they don't know which box it's in. They can use this technology to scan the boxes and know their contents right through the box until they find the one that says, yeah, I'm the fan belt. So you can understand why on the supply side, people in charge of moving large quantities of stuff over large distances that can be quite confusing might want this technology. The problem is it doesn't stop there. There are already marketers, the very same people who are interested in knowing how much your home mortgage is and what your dress size is when you're buying orange juice at the supermarket. Those people have very, very interesting plans for this technology and for us. All right. And let's talk about those. The grocery store card, which has been near and dear to my heart, is something that I have loathed and despised for many years. The grocery store card, I've actually have this device that you see here on the screen. This is the next generation grocery store loyalty card. And what it is it is a plastic device. In the center where you see those antennas converging on one little speck, that speck is the RFID chip, the radio frequency identification chip with its own unique number. The things emanating out from it are antennas, and in fact the gentleman who gave me this was boasting that this is one of the few RFID tags out there that has two antennas, meaning that it can be read from inside of your wallet or purse, regardless of whether it's lying down or sitting upright or how it's oriented to the reader, and that it can be read without you taking it out of your wallet or purse as you walk through the doorway of the store from up to 20 feet away. Now, why would a grocery store want to know who you are before you even take your wallet out or before you even put a single item into your grocery cart? And the answer to that is that the grocery stores and other retailers have now gotten into the business of identifying profitability segments, where they actually make a determination based on your entire shopping history. Now remember, up until the 1990s, there was really no way for a merchant to know what your shopping history was. So we all got treated equally and kind of democratically when we walked into the store. Customers always right, and when you walked in, they would greet you with a smile no matter what, because who knows how much money you were carrying in your wallet. This changes everything, because now if you take this technology which can identify you, you link it with a loyalty card which contains all of your past purchase history. They can run sophisticated computer analyses on you and determine whether you are what they call the preferred shopper in the top tier, and that's probably the top 20-25% of shoppers that account for most of their profits, or whether you are in the bottom tier of profitability, the person who goes in and only buys things on sale. And they use ugly terms to refer to those shoppers. They call them things like bottom feeders and thieves. And they use terms to refer to how they would like to treat those shoppers, such as digital redlining. Meaning that if you were one of those shoppers and you reveal your purchase history to them by scanning a loyalty card, and let's say you're a college student, or let's say you're a little low on your luck, or you maybe just like to shop frugally, and you've been buying items on special, they want to identify you, and according to the advice of some supermarket consultants that I've been reading lately, they would like to offer you higher prices and poor service to discourage you from shopping at the store altogether. In fact, there is an article in a magazine called In-Store Marketing in England, which actually talked about formalizing this process, identifying people before they walk into stores in order to actually ask them not to shop there, possibly even putting bouncers at the door so that if they identified you as someone, who's returned 3 items